Hello there, I'm so excited to be guesting for Gina K Designs this month using this beautiful You Are My World stamp and die combination. This features a beautiful large floral. You get this floral that almost fills up an A2 card and a smaller one that fills up about half of your A2 size card so that you can see those images for reference. You also get some beautiful sentiments, thinking of you, spring blessings, a warm hello, proud of you, and you are my world. Let's create with this beautiful new stamp and coordinating dies. I've had a little play here and I used some of my brand new Olo markers to color in the floral design, and it's just stunning. I'm going to do that with this stamped image, and I'm also going to stamp another one to use on a card front. I'm placing my A2 size piece of smooth white cardstock here in my MISTI, and I'm just lining up my paper so that I get that floral design right in the bottom corner. I'm going to cut this out, so I'm just conserving my paper. I'm inking up with Gina K Designs Amalgam ink in Obsidian Black. And I'm using my Stampendable tool here to really get that onto the paper. Now I realized before I created this card that my amalgam ink really needs to be re-inked. So it typically doesn't take this many times to get that nice clean black image, but I wanted to make sure it was nice and dark. And I do have a re-inker in my cart. Next, I'm going to grab my Olo markers, and I'm grabbing Red Violet 0.2 and Red Violet 0.4 to color the petals. So the first thing that I'll do is go over the petals with RV 0.2 all over the design. And this is going to lay that foundational color onto those petals. Once all of those petals are covered with the RV 0.2, I'm going to move on to a darker shade. I really love creating colored images with these Olo markers. They're new to me and I'm finding them super easy to use. I'm grabbing RV 0.4 here, and I'm just stippling around where those petals are being covered by the petal at the top. So almost like a shadowing effect. When I say stippling, I mean I'm not taking the brush in its entirety and rubbing it on the paper. I'm actually lightly touching the paper in little stipples to create kind of a mottled effect on those petals. I don't want a heavy amount of this color going on. So I'm just going underneath the petal below to create a shadow, almost as if the light was shining from the top and you were getting that shadow effect on the petals that were layered underneath. So it's creating a really beautiful effect. And because the RV 0.2 layer is still a little bit damp, you can already see that the RV 0.4 is kind of blending in to the petals. But I will go back over this with RV 0.2 to really smooth that out. So here I'm going back over all of the petals with RV 0.2, pulling that darker color out from the center to the edges of the petals. And this is just going to smooth that transition between those two colors really beautifully. Next, I'm going for my greens, and I've chosen yellow green 2.3 and yellow green 2.5 for my leaves. So again, I'm going to do an all over color with the lighter color 2.3. And then I'm going to just touch on the veins of those leaves with YG 2.5. By just lightly lining the veins of those leaves, you get kind of a shadowing effect with that darker YG 2.5 along those vein lines. And just like I did before with the pink, I'm going over all of the leaves again with the YG 2.3 to kind of smooth out that transition between the two green colors. Now you can also get the You Are My World stamp as part of a bundle, and the bundle includes all of the coordinating dies, not only for these large florals, but also for all of your sentiments. So it's a really great idea to grab that bundle. I'm going to go ahead and die cut my flower out. Look how beautifully that cut out, and it just looks gorgeous. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other flower now that I've let that dry for a little bit, and I'm going to color it in exactly the same way. Now that I have my two beautiful florals, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment, and I'm choosing a warm hello. This card is going to feature some very warm colors, so I decided to use a sentiment to match. I'm again using the amalgam ink in obsidian black to stamp this nice dark sentiment. I'm going to use the coordinating die that comes in the You Are My World bundle to go ahead and cut that out. And I love the way that it cuts out that extra little spot above the E and hello too. It looks really, really nice. See how beautiful that is? It's a really great die set. Next, I want to create a background for this card, and I've grabbed my Polyglaze diamond sheets. I just love these. And some Thermoweb Deco foil in Enchanted Rose. I thought that this foil would look beautiful with those flowers. I'm putting this in a little parchment paper, and after I ran that through my foiling machine, I got the most beautiful pink diamond panel. I really wish you could see this in person. It really is beautiful. And I'm going to keep that negative piece for another card. I am so excited to use this shiny foiled panel for this card. I want to add more color to this foiled card, so I'm grabbing my Wild Dandelion ink from Gina K Designs, and I'm going to lay down some all over yellow color. However, I want to make the yellow color in the corners where I'm going to be placing my flowers a lot darker than in the center. So you get a beautiful color variation from underneath where the flowers are going to be laid to the center where my sentiment is going to go. So once I get an overall kind of blend of that wild dandelion, I'm going to focus more on my corners. So I'm laying my flowers down to see how far out they go from the corner. And then I'm going to take my Gina K Designs blending brush and really focus on those corners, kind of creating an arch effect there. And this is going to be really noticeable. You can see it on the camera, but it's really noticeable in person. You have a lighter effect in the center and a darker effect where those flowers are going to be placed. I trimmed down my foiled panel, and now I am putting it on top of an A2 size piece of passionate pink cardstock. I thought this color would be perfect for those pretty pink florals, and I love that pop of yellow in the center. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my florals in place and use temporary adhesive to place them. I want to pop these up with dimensional adhesive, but it can be kind of tricky to trim the edges of the flowers from that card edge if it is on dimensional adhesive. So I'm placing it down first with temporary adhesive, trimming the die cut, and then I will pop it up with dimensional adhesive. This makes it easier to be sure that you have that really nice clean edge on this side of your card. So now I'm just using some foam adhesive here to get my flowers in place. I like the lift that this gives, and I think it looks really nice when you have that darker yellow below the flower. It almost looks like a shadowing effect. And once I have the foam strip backers off, then it's easy for me to line up that edge along the passionate pink cardstock. And I just lined up the points of the leaves on the edges of that foiled panel. So I'm going to follow suit with the second flower. With both of my flowers in place, all I have to do is add my title. And I found the perfect spot for it, kind of tucked in between those two flowers where the foiled panel is just a little bit lighter. So I'm using some foam adhesive strips to just get in this smaller die cut to add that pop of dimension there to my sentiment. It's always a good idea to grab your reverse tweezers here when you're placing your sentiment on, and I love the way that that sits right there in between my flowers. It is so pretty. Next, I'm grabbing the Gina K Designs Micro Disco Ball Sequins. I thought there was a bit of shine on this card, but these little sparkles would add just a nice little touch to that diagonal line that goes in between my flowers through my sentiment. So I'm just using my Gina K Designs fine tip bottle and some liquid glue here to add a few of those micro disco ball sequins to that diagonal line. Once I get the final sequin in place, I'm going to call this card complete, and it is so beautiful and shiny and colorful, and I just love it. I loved creating with this gorgeous You Are My World stamp and die bundle this month for the Gina K Designs release. It is a beautiful stamp set that lends itself so well to coloring in and pairing with some of your favorite techniques. On this card, we colored, we foiled, we ink blended, so many fun things. To finish it off, I also added some scrapbook.com pops of color to the stamen of those flowers to give them a little bit of color and texture. And I really love how this card turned out. Be sure to check out all of the products that I used to create this card in the links in my video description below. And if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe so you can see more. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and happy creating using the brand new Gina K Designs products.